Okay, so first let's speak a little bit about this. Of course, here we're seeing several different strata all at the same time. So it's always difficult to interpret if you haven't dug here yourself. But I'll try to help you with a few visual aids. Okay, so first we'll answer your medieval question. There we go. We just happen to have something here. Okay, so how do time periods work? The early ones are related to what is considered to be a linear development in technology. Then we have periods that are related to individual people and empires, Hasmoneans, Herodians. Here, this is up to the time of Jesus, right? So I guess I don't actually have the medieval in this. This is only biblical periods.
So you're going to explain to us.
So I can't show you beyond telling you. This is from Shimon's encyclopedia. So, sorry, I can't say. It's during the Muslim period in any case. Okay, let's talk about the development here. So there's three periods of what they consider to be during pre-10th century Philistines. This is the earliest cultic building, which was also here. Okay. In the second stage, it was expanded and made like this, and this rock wall is part of that. And then the last stage before destruction is here, and that's mostly what we see there now.
What is this?
This is just giving you some detail of the wall itself. So it's showing you that it was collapsed. Okay. So the door, this is actually the cultic area here. The door comes in from the east, and there was 3 pillars holding up the main hall, and there was actually cedar poles on top of it, which there's no cedar poles. Cedar does not grow normally in Israel proper, so it means that they brought it here from Lebanon or Syria. Okay, so and there was benches for sitting around the sides. There was a treasury in the back behind what was little bama, or a place. There's a place for, let's see, outside there was a altar where you could do burnt offerings. Actually, I think, is that it? No. I'm actually not sure where that is. Okay, but so before the 10th century, this was modified 3 times, this building that we're looking at now. And what's the main material that the walls are made out of? There is some stone, but actually most of it's mud brick. There is some Kurkar. But the reason that the mud brick is preserved well here is because it got burnt. And when it got burnt, it helped to preserve the mud bricks. So they're in a much better shape than they might have been if that hadn't happened. Okay, so if we take this, and here's a isometric reconstruction of what it might have looked like. So here's the central part of the cultic building, and then we have storage rooms, and they try to compare these to other cultic buildings, but it's kind of a mixture of traditions. It's not really Canaanite, it's not really from Mediterranean in general, it's kind of a mixture of different.
So did you say center is the cultic?
This is the cultic, the center of the cultic area.
Yeah, worship.
Or ritual?
Ritual, temple. Sometimes they call this a temple. Sometimes, if you're more careful, you call it cultic. but it all relates to some sort of
So you say
religious
this
practice.
is for storage?
Yeah.
So it's not clear to me. What is the earliest temple, middle temple?
This,
what temple? Is the period
this
or
is what
size or what is it?
So this is the earliest one. Then they
Second.
refurbished it, and they made it larger. And then this is the final one. This right in here is the one I'm showing you. That's
It's the
a
middle.
picture of this.
Okay.
And in this one, we also see the walls that are around it.
So, what peoples built all these?
So if you look at the material culture, it's a mixture of Aegean and Canaanite local material culture. It's a mixture.
And you said the 10th century?
The last one, this one was destroyed in the 10th century. So Maza,
10th century BC?
yeah,
So they are all from 10th century BC.
no. So this whole phase it starts in the 12th century, 12th century,
12th century BC.
and by the 10th century we have this one. So in a period of about 200 years, we have 3 phases of this temple cultic area
BC you mean.
BC.
And the cultic area, did they sacrifice animals?
So there, outside there was rock altars that they assumed were for sacrificing animals.
And, but not human.
No.
So you think surely it's after the first temple built?
So after the best preservation is from these 3 periods. After that, the site was destroyed by fire, which sealed all the material that we're going to see in the museum, which there's a lot of fantastic stuff. And there's a lot of very unusual things that come from here, which aids in the interpretation that it was a cultic site. And then after that, there was some reconstruction, but it was very poor. But the pottery changes to red slipped and burnished, which is usually an indicator of the time of David. Okay? Actually, Ami has an article about the reconstruction, but I haven't read it.
So it's Tel Aviv.
So this whole dig was a combination of Hebrew University and the Eretz Israel Museum. It's not a Tel Aviv dig.
Because Ami's.
So actually, if you guys know Ami Mazar from the Hebrew University, his father was the one who first dug here. And then he took over this dig, and they dug off and on from 1949 until the mid-1980s.
His uncle.
His uncle.
Yeah.
I think you're right, his uncle.
Yeah, it's his uncle.
Yeah.
Did you say Shimon was part of this?
No.
No, Shimon. This is kind of after Shimon. Shimon was here, but he wasn't involved in this. He was always more involved in Jerusalem.
Okay. So, going back to the wall fortifications, this was the only place where they found part of a massive wall. So they assumed that there was some sort of a fortification wall, but there's not very much of it left. If we look here, we can see, the pillared buildings. This is the storeroom, right? Like we saw in Beersheba, right? So this is earlier. There's also similar storage rooms in Megiddo, Beersheba. There's other places where you find similar type storage rooms. Okay? Any questions? It just gives us a bit of context for the pottery that we're going to see in the museum.